Alright guys, so let's find our way into bound angle pose or butterfly. So have the soles of your feet together, knees wide apart, drop your knees close to the floor, push your feet gently closer to your hips. You can grab your feet and just gently pull yourself closer to the floor with a straight back. Deep inhales and deep exhales. Or you can walk your hands out forward. Just find a comfortable position because we are going to be staying here for quite some time. So in this practice, we're going to be holding every pose, every stretch for a very long time. Because that's really how we're going to activate the Davis's law, which lengthens out our connective tissues, activates the Golgi tendon organ. And that's really how you improve your flexibility and increase your ranges of motion. So just be patient. Stay connected to your breath. Maybe notice any subtle sensations going throughout your body in those areas that you're feeling. As your hips loosen up a little bit more. As your body lets go of the tension little by little with each breath. And just breathe. Deep inhales and deep exhales through your nose if possible. Try to keep your back straight. You can even close your eyes, and that might help you notice the subtle sensations a little bit more. And you can try going a little bit deeper. You can push a little bit deeper with each breath, if and only if that feels good to you. You can try to fold a little bit deeper, just finding the areas that your body is holding on to, any tension, and gently letting them go. Alright, come back to sitting and close your knees. And then just find your way into a tabletop pose on your yoga mat. When you get there, tuck your toes and push your hips up to the sky into downward facing dog. Fidget around, shake out your head. Head and neck dangling free. Pedal your feet, work out those kinks. And then find your way into full-blown downward facing dog. Take a deep inhale in full-blown downward facing dog. Press into your palms, shoulders wide open, and just lift your right leg up to the sky. Draw a few circles to loosen up those hips. And then step your right foot in between your hands. Drop your left knee to the floor. And then bring your right hand onto the inside of your right foot. And to your own degree, just start dropping your forearms to the ground. So it might not touch the ground. You might need to just have your elbows in the air. Just go to a degree where you're feeling subtle sensation, but not excruciating pain, because that's a sign that you need to back off. Just subtle discomfort, if you guys know what I mean. And just breathe. When you find that perfect stretch, just hold it. So like I said, deep stretches, you need to hold them for a long time in order for that Golgi 10 organ to get activated. And when that happens, the Davis law happens, and your body starts to, little by little, lengthen out those connective tissues, because it recognizes that your body needs a new range of motion. You don't want to push too far and injure yourself, but you just want to go to a degree where you're feeling something, It's not extreme. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but it's not to the point where you literally feel like you're hurting yourself. And these deep stretches love those deep inhales and deep exhales. With each exhale, you can kind of notice that your body is like loosening up just a tiny bit if you pay attention. And eventually your range of motion increases. And modern times we call that flexibility. But it's really not about that. It's just about taking care of those areas that you might not take care of if you weren't doing this yoga practice today. And flexibility is just a side effect of that, of you maintaining your range of motion. So just keep breathing, be patient. Alright, walk your hands up. Put your right hand on the outside of the right foot. And before we move on, definitely put a pillow underneath your left knee if you need to, or skip. You don't have to do this, but bend your left knee and then grab your left toes with your right hand as you twist and pull gently that left foot closer to your butt, which really deepens the stretch on the left quad. And just a few breaths here. Not going to stay here for very long. And get it while you can. And remember, deep inhales, deep exhales. Alright, release the left toes. Put your right hand back on the floor. Lift the left knee up to the sky. And then step your right foot back to downward facing dog. So walk your dog, fidget around, shake out your head, press into your palms, then left knee up to the sky. Draw a few circles, loosen up those hips. And then step your left foot in between your hands. Drop the right knee to the floor. Left hand on the inside of the left foot. And at your own pace, just start lowering your forearms to the ground. So again, your forearms don't necessarily have to touch the ground. Your hips are one of the biggest joints in your entire body. That's why we're staying here for quite some time. So remember, guys, deep inhales and deep exhales. So of course you can come out early if you need to, but if you can, maybe just go to a lesser degree. Sometimes it's hard to hold a pose because you're pushing yourself a little bit too hard. But if you just maybe push your hands up a little bit higher, it won't feel as discomforting, and you might be able to hold the pose for a little bit longer, and eventually it does get easier. So that's just some food for thought here. But if you're still with me or us, just keep breathing deep, keep breathing freely. You might notice that with each breath, your body is gently loosening up a little bit more. So they say these really long stretches also causes your body to release hyaluronic acid, which moisturizes your body, and it's anti-aging or something. I don't know if that's true, but it wouldn't hurt, right, to just hold these poses for a really, really long time. Alright, from here just walk your hands up, left hand back on the outside of the left foot, and then whenever you're ready, maybe put a pillow underneath that right knee, maybe skip, but otherwise just bend the right knee and grab the right toes with the left hand, and just start gently pulling your right foot closer to the butt, really, really deeply stretching that right quad. As you twist over to the left, and that's it. Let go of the right foot, bring the right knee off the floor, step your left foot back to downward facing dog, walk out your dog, fidget around, do what you gotta do, then find your way into full-blown downward facing dog. Right leg up to the sky, bend the right knee to open up the hip, and then step your right foot in between your hands. Drop the left knee to the floor once again, slide it back a little bit, and then just start straightening out the right leg and flex the right toes into our half split. Or a full split if you're more flexible than me. I mean, I've been doing yoga for over 10 years and I still can't do the splits, but I think that's okay. Really, I'm just using this pose to stretch out my extremely tight calf muscles. So if you're still with me, just flex the right toes, grab the right toes with the left hand, and breathe. Keep your right arm strong, especially if your hips are off the floor like me. Find your stretch, and we're gonna just stay here. So a lot of you guys asked me how to get the splits, which is kind of ridiculous because I don't even have the splits. So I don't know why people are asking me about it, but from what I know, you just keep doing this pose, and if you hold it for long enough each time, little by little by little, due to the Davis's law, those connective tissues that are related to the splits eventually get long enough for you to be able to do the splits. So of course, I could push myself really hard to try to get the splits, but there's a chance that I might injure myself if I do that. And that's why I choose not to go too far. I just choose to go to the right degree where I'm feeling subtle sensation, but not excruciating pain. And I honestly suggest that you do that too, but really it's up to you to decide. Maybe you prefer the subtle sensations to be even more subtle, and you go to an even lesser degree where you're just feeling a tiny stretch, and that's totally okay too. As a matter of fact, I think we need to encourage more people to be that way, because most people, they're just jamming their agenda down their body's throat constantly, like, get the splits already. And that's why they push themselves so hard. And a lot of these people get injured. But if you're gentle, if you go to the right degree and not the most degree, I think that's the best way to prevent injuries, actually. So I'm gonna just keep staying here. Obviously, your pose is gonna look different from my pose. My pose is gonna look different from a a Olympic gymnast's pose. I mean, we all have different lifestyle histories, all have very unique body types. And that's why it's really beautiful when you go to a real live yoga class and you see everyone doing the same pose differently. It's amazing. I think that's one thing I really miss ever since the pandemic. I do miss going to live yoga classes. And you get to see all these people, different ages, different body types, just doing the yoga routine, the same yoga routine, but in their own unique way. And it's great. I think that's really how yoga should be. So keep breathing free, keep breathing deep. You might notice that there's subtle sensations going throughout your body. And from here, in your own way, and hopefully safely, just find your way back to downward facing dog. Walk out that dog, shake out that head and neck dangling free, palms flat on the ground, shoulders open. Deep, deep breaths. Notice how your body might feel a little bit different compared to how it was when you first started this routine. And then just lift the left leg up to the sky, bend the left knee, open up the hip. Step the left foot in between your hands. Drop the right knee to the floor. Nudge it back a little bit. And just start straightening out the left leg. Find your perfect half splits or full splits, whatever feels right today. And if you do yoga more consistently, you're gonna notice that every day it feels different. Some days I feel like going a little bit deeper because going a little bit deeper feels right. And there's other days where I can't go as deep. And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Because yoga is not trying to change you, it's just trying to take care of you. So that someday you can pick up your grandkids and play with them, so that you can bend over and pick up groceries. That's really what it's all about. It's not about flexibility in the sense for the sake of flexibility. Even though flexibility is a side effect of practicing yoga, but it's not the intention or the purpose. Like, can you imagine the yogis back in the day telling each other, hey, I need to get into the splits so that I can take a picture for my Instagram and show it off to all my friends. I think that would be so ridiculous, right? It's just taking care of your range of motion. So the yogis back in the day, all they were doing was meditating. So they were just meditating up in the mountains away from the real world, and they realized that suffering starts in the mind, and the solution is also in the mind. But they also noticed that because they were so sedentary, their bodies were deteriorating, and it was making it harder for them to meditate for longer hours. So that's why they created the physical yoga practice, because they realized that they still have to take care of their bodies somewhat, so that they can sit for even longer hours and meditate. So the whole idea of beginner to intermediate to advanced shouldn't even exist in yoga. It's really just new yogis and mature yogis. The more mature of a yoga practitioner you become, the less you start comparing, the less you keep comparing or keep pushing yourself to progress somewhere, to get somewhere. At least I think that's how it works. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not like a super expert. I haven't studied for decades, but that's really what I know from, that's really what I got from my little bit over a decade of practicing yoga. I hope this story made this pose a little bit easier to bear. And you're still breathing free and breathing deep. Just a few more breaths. This is just such a good pose to lengthen out that entire backside of your leg, your calves. your calves that take you everywhere. Just like you're taking care of it back with this pose. That's really what it's all about. Alright, from here, find your way back to downward facing dog. Beautiful job, you guys. Fidget around. Find your perfect downward facing dog. Walk out your dog. Shake out your head. Do what you gotta do. And from here, just lift the left leg up to the sky, step it in between your hands. Pivot your right foot out, and then just pivot your left foot out as well. So it's like you're facing the front of the room. Spread your legs wide as comfortably as possible. And then just let your head and neck dangle free. Grab your elbows. Make sure your head is dangling free. Shake it out if necessary. As you just glance behind you and let gravity kind of gently pull your upper body down. And breathe. Deep, deep inhales, deep, deep exhales. And from here, just grab your ankles or your shins, knees, calves, wherever you can grab, and just gently pull your head closer to the floor. From here, just walk your hands to your right leg and grab the outside of the right ankle with your left hand, and then grab the back of your right calf with your right hand, and just gently pull your torso over to the right, which should really deepen the stretch on the right leg. But also make sure that your hips are square, facing forward. So you're not turning your hips, just your torso. Left foot is still flat on the floor like an anchor. And breathe. You can let your head rest on that arm. From here, just walk back to center and just go over to the other side. Grab the outside of the left ankle with the right hand, back of the left calf with the left hand, and pull yourself gently over to the left. Right foot is still anchoring the floor, hips are square, facing forward, and breathe. Deep inhales and deep exhales, guys. All right, let go, walk back to center. And then fall deeply to the earth again with your torso for one last breath. Let your head and neck dangle free, so it's kind of like you're just in this deep torso stretch and hip stretch. Feet flat on the floor. Alright, so from here, walk your hands outside your mat, and I'm just turning so I can show you guys what I'm gonna do And then step your feet outside of your yoga mat. So it's kind of like you're in this spread leg downward facing dog. So I'm going to do this sideways so you guys can see what's going on. So come forward and bring your shoulders above your wrists. And from there, just drop your knees to the floor. Make sure that your knees are in a comfortable position. You can either skip this or put some pillow underneath your knees. Flex your toes so your toes are wider than your knees. And once you find a comfortable position, just start dropping your forearms to the ground. So lift your hips up so it looks like you're trying to be as sexy as possible. And I'm only telling you to do this because this is what you're not supposed to do. So do the opposite. Tuck your tailbone under as if you're trying to look as unsexy as possible. And to your own degree, just start opening your knees as wide as possible as you drop your groin closer and closer to the floor. So this is as far as I'm going, which is really not far at all. But this is where I feel my own personal degree of subtle sensation. So find your pose. You might want to go deeper. You might want to go not so deep. But your body is going to tell you where to go by communicating with you in the language of sensation. And breathe. So like I was saying earlier, the yogis back in the day, they were just meditating and they were developing blood clots and just having all sorts of issues, like their muscles were completely atrophying because they weren't moving very much. They were just sitting in the mountains and just meditating all day long. And then they realized that they needed some movement to take care of the body. And I think modern day life is just so similar to that situation, especially me. I mean, I spend so much time just sitting in front of the computer, just being very sedentary and not really moving around. And I think personally that's why yoga was just such a good fit for me, because I'm not really trying to look like a shredded bodybuilder or anything. I just really want to take care of my body. It's also amazing that yoga has lasted the test of time. I mean, nowadays there's so many new types of workouts, and we'll see if it lasts the test of time. But yoga has truly lasted the test of time. It's been around for thousands of years. And for something that has been around for thousands of years to still be practiced today is just amazing. All right, walk your hands back up. Come back into spread leg downward facing dog. Bring your feet together into regular downward facing dog. Spread your fingers wide, press into those palms. Shoulders wide open, heels low, hips up. Shake out your head. Maybe notice any subtle differences that you feel in your body, and then just drop your knees to the floor, cross your feet behind you, and sit up tall. Bring your legs in front of you, and just hug your knees into your chest and start rocking back. Make sure there's space behind you until you can get onto the floor. Hug your knees tight. Give everything a beautiful squeeze. On an inhale and an exhale, just drop deeply into the earth. Beautiful job, you guys. Namaste. You really want to just stay here for at least a few minutes to really let everything you just did synthesize throughout your body. You might want to stay with your breath, or you might want to just drift off into a deep sleep, or you might want to spend a few moments in gratitude, maybe thanking your body for taking you through that practice, gratitude for being alive, in good health, gratitude for all the plants and animals that are going to die today so you can be alive and eat. Alright, you guys, I will see you guys in the next one.